Hello everyone, I'm here again for another Rayman tutorial. This is for the second level of the game that we go through in any percent, Creepy Castle. So, I'm just going to start off by the bat. Assuming you've watched the previous parts, I'm assuming you guys are watching this in order and know stuff from my basic tutorial series about movements and stuff, so if you guys don't know that, make sure you watch all that. I should have it linked somewhere in the description. So, anyways, the very first part of the level is, all you have to do is dash, and after the dash you roll attack. That's the quickest way to get this teensy without stopping. You keep the roll attack going until you drop down, and then you just spin jump and wall jump up here. What I want to do right now is actually talk about wall jumping, and how I'm spacing these wall jumps in a way that allows me to not overshoot this platform here too much, but also not shoot too low, and if I shoot too low, I will have to grab it, like do a cliff grab and then climb up. So anyway, what I'm going to talk about is spacing your wall jumps. Right here, what I do is spin jump with a short hop into the wall, and I don't even complete the arc. Like I'm still going up when I hit that wall, so I'm hitting that wall really low when I do the wall jump, and that's the spacing that I do. So basically, your first jump into the wall is your most important jump. That's what spaces your entire wall jumping sequence mostly. Like you can still do like a short hop wall jump. You can still technically do that, but I don't like to do that. I like to space them at the start of it. So what I do is I spin jump, short hop into the wall, and then I do full hop wall jumps. And that spaces it perfectly to the top of there. So yeah, that comes up in other places in the game where you have to space your wall jump, so you don't have... Like the fastest way is to not cliff grab or to overshoot. You want to touch the top of it, top of the ground of the ground you're jumping up to as soon as possible. Oh, I'm losing my voice. All right, let's get through this. So yeah, here I don't need to describe what's going on. You just need to learn the jump sequence I do here. Jump sequences. I don't want to describe every jump I do, so whenever I say this is a jump sequence, it's something you guys should pay attention to what I'm doing, because that's normally a jump sequence that's optimal to do in a certain situation. Because the jump sequence I'm doing here is to allow me to basically just get a roll jump up to that cliff to do a cliff grab. It's spacing my jump sequence in a way that allows me to cliff grab, basically. There's more jump sequence stuff up here. Might be why I roll attack there, because there's a lot of enemies coming up, and the roll attack's really good at having, it's basically keeping your hitbox active. Your active hitbox that kills enemies active, no matter if you're in the air or if you're on the ground. That's why I keep it there. Because if I didn't roll attack here, when I run into this enemy, I would have to either take the hit, which is obviously slow and you wouldn't want that, or I would have to do an air kick, or an air slap for Glowbox. For Glowbox. And when you do an air slap in the air, that stalls you in the air and it slows you down. So that's not good. So just do a roll attack here. That will kill that enemy right there. That's dying right now. And then once you land, you just continue your jump sequence. So here, there's an enemy past this pit that if you are too fast and you ground pound too soon, you will ground pound on top of the enemy. And that's not ideal, because when you ground pound on top of enemies in this game, you will pop up back into the air, and you have no choice but to pop up and back into the air. When ideally, to go fast, you would want to stay on the ground and keep going. So, what I do here is I wait. And then I ground pound. I waited a little bit too long here, but if I did it right as I got there, I would have ground pounded that enemy, because this enemy is walking to the right. When you get close enough, he starts walking to the right. Even though he's not on screen, he's walking. You just want to wait and ground pound. Not too long, but you want to wait. Otherwise, you'll waste time by popping up back into the air. If you do ground pound too early and you ground pound and pop up, do an air attack and stall your vertical momentum, and then keep going. Like that's normally the best way to keep yourself from staying in the air for too long. It's just as soon as you pop up, do an air attack, and then just land. Don't ground pound, because you just pop up again, because for whatever reason, if you ground pound twice, even though the enemy's already dead, you can still pop up again. So yeah, just air attack, and then just land, and then continue on. Alright. Normal stuff. Okay, so this axe here, again, it's another thing that you need to be careful about when you go too fast. This axe will hit you no matter what if you're going too fast. I'm hitting the mic. I'm sorry. If you go too fast, you hit the axe. So there's a few ways you can stall yourself. I think what I did here is I just hovered for a bit. Yeah, I just hovered for a bit. And that's enough to slow me down so I can just spin past. Don't forget that hitboxes in this game are normally really forgiving. See how far into the axe I am, and I'm not getting hit at all. That's how forgiving this game is. So, yeah. There you go. Alright, so an interesting thing about this part here, as you can see when I enter the room, I'm not spinning. I didn't spin attack. And that's because if there's a silly thing about this ramp here, sometimes when you spin, you sometimes fly off here. Sometimes you just go in the air and fly off. And sometimes you stay connected to the ground and you fly down the ramp, which is faster to stay on the ground and fly down the ramp, or slide down the ramp. It's faster to stay on the ground. There's no easy way to control that unless you do it this way, where I run into these bone walls here, and then I push against them. This sets me up in a perfect position to where I will always snap onto that downward slope and never go airborne. So that's always a good thing to do, because when you go down the ramp, you always gain speed. So that's always good. And I do a road jump here. All these road jumps are full hops. And if you don't retain all of your speed, you will not make all of these jumps. If you aren't fast enough, you will miss this platform. And if you miss this platform, you land in the water, and that's slow. Or you have to do an air kick in the air, and that's also slow. So keep your momentum, do full jumps, full roll hop jumps, and you'll be good. So here's the thing with Glowbox. Glowbox jumps higher on ropes and chains. If you're a Rayman here, you wouldn't make this jump. You would have to cliff grab or jump on the corner of the ledge here. But with Glowbox, you just make the jump. When you're on the chain, you just make it. As an interesting little tidbit about Glowbox, that's just one of his quirks that makes him better. Once again, I roll jump to get enough height to get this teensy here. Ground pounding. When you ground pound, your character's collision box raises up a little bit, and that allows you to ground pound when you're underneath a bumper. I prefer to call them bumpers, but some people call them pillows. So bumper. When you ground pound on a bumper, you go farther, obviously, but you can do it from underneath. There's that. That's what I'm doing here. I did an air kick stall there to make sure I was high enough on the wall. So after I do the ground pound here, once I'm at my apex of the jump, I keep my vertical height from changing by air kicking here, so that I can reach the wall at its highest point. And also another thing about Glowbox is that his backwards kick, again, I mentioned this last time, I'll mention it again, his backwards kick has insane range compared to any other character. And it allows you to get teensies like this a lot easier. He's not so much of a help here, but his backwards kick is more of a help in the next one that's coming up, right here. You're able to get this teensy through this wall. I didn't cliff grab, I didn't ground pound next to the teensy. I just kicked right through that wall. And you got the teensy. Well, I got the teensy. If you were Rayman, the normal strat here would be to wall jump up here, wall jump, and then ground pound here. And that will get the teensy. And then you just short hop to the left and then ground pound down here. Those are the Rayman strats. I fucked up this when I was recording it, but ideally when you ground pound to the water here, you spin immediately to the left, and that will retain your momentum from the ground pound. It'll change the ground pound velocity you had downwards, and when you spin to the left, that'll transfer it to the left. That will retain a lot of speed. That's the quickest way to do it, but I spun to the left too late, so I hit the wall. So I'm doing it slow here. Alright, normal stuff, nothing too fancy. Roll jump up to cliff grab. You don't need to worry about jumping over that vine. You can just spin over it. You don't have to jump. You can just roll, slide over it. No big deal. And then I roll jump here. So if you have a heart here, you can go ahead and roll jump here and jump over the vines and don't worry about grabbing the pillow. You can just do this. And you can do damage boost and grab back onto the rope here. If you don't have a heart, you can either ground pound that bumper that you saw before up here. You can either ground pound this bumper if you don't have a heart, or you can do exactly this, but instead of damage boosting, because that would kill you, you do an air kick stall. You would air kick stall all the way back. I think that might be the slower way of doing it, but that's normally what I do if I don't have a heart when I get to this point. Once you land, there's a heart right there, so that damage boost isn't penalizing in any way. So yeah, you just do a YBY. Quickest way to grab that heart. If you were to just do an air kick, you would just slow down and it wouldn't be as fast. Alright. Okay, so when I air attack here, it's to keep my momentum going, because once I grab that rope, my speed is capped at a certain value. So it's best to stay away from touching that rope for as long as possible. So that's why I attack here, because I lose my speed once I touch that rope. And here I do something fancy called a YBY up. I actually have not gone over this yet. I think I briefly talked about it, but I never talked about like how to do it. But the basics of it is, for this situation anyway, is that I do a YBY, but I'm angling my hold on, I'm getting a controller. I do a YBY, but I'm angling my control stick in the upright position, and that allows me to get extra height out of my YBY when I attack this enemy here. This doesn't work with normal YBYs. You have to attack an enemy for this to work, for this specific thing to work. It's a little bit more complicated than this, but for this specific situation, all you need to know is that when you attack this enemy, you do YBY up while holding the upright positioning on the analog stick or the D-pad, and you will go up into the sky like that. It allows you to reach a higher point of the rope, basically. Alright, and now I'm doing a damage boost here. Cool. Alright. So, this jump sequence is important. This is really the only way to do this fast, so just pay attention to the jump sequence. Okay. So, with Glowbox, here's another thing about Glowbox. Like I said before, he jumps higher on ropes. It's easier to grab this teensy quick. If you're a Rayman, you wouldn't be able to do this. Just like that. Sometimes it's weird. For whatever reason, this section, when I was grinding this level, sometimes I didn't get that extra height. So a more consistent method to get this teensy, it's a bit slower, but it's consistent, is to, once you grab the rope here, just jump straight up and re-grab the rope at a higher point. So instead of jumping off to the left, you would re-grab right about here-ish. And then once you re-grab, jump to the left, land on top of the cage, and once you're on the cage and standing on top of it, spin to the right. Even though it looks like your spin attack doesn't have a hitbox below you, it still destroys the cage for whatever reason. So that would be the consistent way to do it. But I don't do it here. Alright, so again, this jump sequence is important. I do that thing we went over in the first level, where I do an instant spin jump, because these flowers are here. So I can do it instantly, and I can get full speed out of my spin. And now I'm holding down, so I can slide down this slight slope here. It was brief, but it's better than not holding down. And then once you land on here, you just roll jump up with the small jump. I actually peeled back here so that I can reach this rope once I reach my apex with a jump. I grab the rope, I jump on the corner. I don't do a ledge grab here, because a weird thing about corners in this game is that when you press jump, when you're at a corner, before you ledge grab, you just do a normal hop. It's kind of weird. So yeah, I just did a normal small jump there, and now I'm already up top. And here, there you go. That is Creepy Castle for you. So yeah, I hope you learned something. This is the second level. Hopefully I'll get to the other levels later. Right now I'm starting to lose my voice, so this will be the end of the stream. The stream session of recording these tutorials. But as you can see, this chat up here is empty. And that's because there's no one here watching at the moment, and that's maybe because no one knows that I'm streaming. So again, I'm going to be plugging my stream Twitch channel here. Go to twitch.tv/DJTHED. You can go there and follow me there. I'll be continuing to stream these sessions on my Twitch channel. For this part and the previous level tutorial, I was live streaming the whole thing. If there are people here, they would be able to ask me questions as I do these things. So if you want to ask me questions when I do more of these tutorials, you are free to do so if you were to catch one of my streams. So yeah, with that, that is the end of the tutorial. I hope I see you in Enchanted Forest.